Hey, what's up, guys? So, in case you haven't heard yet, you've been living under a rock because you're not on RDF, or well, I guess that's really the only place that we're talking about it. But the new Valentine 1 Generation 2 started shipping this week. Now, it's possibly going to be the biggest change we've ever seen to the Valentine 1. Mine's coming in actually tomorrow morning. FedEx says they're going to deliver it by 10:30 Pacific time. And as soon as I get the detector in, I'll be back here live streaming and we'll do a full unboxing to compare it here to the original Valentine 1. Going over all the changes and everything, seeing the differences. We'll compare it to different detectors, all that kind of stuff. Now, other people have actually started receiving their V1s already. Today, and one person actually drove yesterday to Valentine's headquarters in Ohio and picked it up in person so they didn't have to wait for shipping. So if you want to go ahead and see photos of the new Valentine 1 Gen 2, I've got the link in the video description. Take a look. They're all posted on RDF, and you can see the detector is actually pretty different. So an all-new display. It's still got the arrows, of course. And yeah, take a look at that, and you can listen kind of while we talk and stuff. And also kind of let me know any questions and thoughts you have. Like I've got a list of things that I'd like to talk about, and I'd like to kind of go over everything that we know so far. It's not everything, of course. Valentine hasn't officially announced it on their website yet, which is kind of weird, but they're already shipping to people who've pre-ordered. So we're getting a chance to see it before we actually even know what it is, what it looks like, what's different or anything, which I think says a lot about the V1 and just how awesome it is. The fact that everybody like me is willing to just pre-order it sight unseen. It's $500, $499. So it is $100 more than the original V1. But Bluetooth is now included, which is another $50. So because Bluetooth is kind of a must-have, I guess we could say it's $50 more than the original V1. But yeah, there's a lot of changes, which we'll go over here as well. So again, link in the video description, head over to RDF so that you can take a look at the photos that people have already been posting. Now, as far as the new design, again, it's going to have a new display. The case itself is going to be different. The mount, it's going to be same style, but a different mount to actually fit onto it. I heard back from Blend Mount. They had a chance to talk to Mike V about it. And so you Blend Mount owners, you're going to be able to use your existing blend mounts. The mount itself is a little bit different, but the connectors where the suction cups go, evidently that is still the same. And so you should be able to use your existing blend mounts. When my V1 comes in tomorrow, I'll double check just to verify, but that's good news there. So let's see, what else going through the list. All new platform under the hood. So this is probably going to be one of the biggest changes. There's longer range and performance. We don't know how much. It's a completely different platform under the hood. So it should have better performance, longer range. Of course, there's going to be a lot of testing to compare it to the Uniden R7, Escort Max 360C, original V1, all the kind of ones that it's going to go up against just to see, how much better is the performance? Can it beat the Unidens? How much better is it than the original V1? We really don't know, but Valentine is saying that performance is definitely a new platform under the hood. Yes, it is going to be better performance. They've also been improving the filtering as well. Exactly what the improvements are, we don't know. I haven't seen any reference to TMF3 or their new version of the Junk K Fighter. Is there going to be improvements to things like the Cobra falsing, potentially satellite dish falsing, all that kind of stuff? So we don't really know exactly what it is, but obviously that's one of the things, like once everybody starts having a chance to put the detector on their windshield and start driving around with it, we'll get a better idea of what the filtering is like. But yeah, things should be improved in that regard. Now, one of the big differences with the detector is the V1, obviously it's kind of this classic design, right? You got the arrows, you've got the front of the detector. You can see it's kind of angled to be sloped toward the driver, which I guess kind of sucks for right-hand drive vehicles. But if you're a left-hand drive like us, it slopes towards us. That is going to be remaining. But this control knob here is actually gone, which was surprising. I was not expecting that. It's one of my favorite things about the V1. I love being able to adjust the control volume like this and then the muted volume with the secondary lever. Now there's two buttons that are going to be here on top for volume up and volume down. This is going to be completely gone, and there's actually going to be a little button here that you can press to mute the detector, adjust the volume, things like that. So that's kind of surprising to see that they're going to be getting rid of the knob. It's something I really liked, and I'm not a huge fan of buttons on top of the detector. Just because it's kind of tougher when you've got the detector mounted high up by the rearview mirror. It's a little bit tougher sometimes to get your fingers there, but I'm going to hold off on maybe commenting on that fully until I have a chance to try it out and test it, and we'll see it tomorrow and see how that stands. But that was actually really surprising to see that they've changed that. But some of the other stuff, like we saw a patent for A new LCD display where you can have different style arrows. You can maybe display text like the frequency, things like that. That is not coming to fruition. So it was a patent, something they were working on, but I'm guessing they just wanted to keep it a little bit more of a callback to this traditional style of the V1. So the arrows like this do remain. The LEDs are also still going to be here, red for K, KA, all that kind of stuff. There is going to be a new LED on the front for Bluetooth. Bluetooth, as I mentioned, it's now going to be built into the detector. You don't have to buy the external Bluetooth module. So the V1C or the V1CLE, now it's actually going to be built into the detector. And there's, of course, the V1 connection app. JBV1 and V1 driver are being updated as we speak to support the new V1 Gen 2. I don't know if V1 driver is going to work yet. From what I understand, JBV1 is already going to work, but you can't push your sweeps yet to the new detector. So not everything is going to work yet, and they have to update their apps. The API has changed a little bit. So kind of some of the back-end developer stuff to as far as how the phone is going to communicate to the detector. So the apps also have to update as well. So that's going to be a change that's coming. And when it comes out, I'll test it, and there's going to be updates for both of them. So I guess one of the interesting things is the horn. It's going to be one horn in the front like this and a second one in the rear to give it arrows. But one of the big things is they've redesigned the horn. You know how the Escort Redline, like the M3 platform, uses two separate front-facing horns. One, I believe, is X-band. The other is K and KA. And that way, having two separate horns, they can both be optimized for their respective frequencies and not have to have one horn for all the frequencies. V1 has kind of done something similar here to where they still have one horn, but they've kind of made it a, what was the official term? Dual plane horn. So it's kind of like optimized for two different frequencies, and there's two different paths that the signals can actually travel down the horn, and then two different microstrip paths. So fundamentally, you have kind of a section of the horn that's optimized for X band and KU band, so like 10 and 13 gigahertz. And you have another part of the horn that's going to be optimized for K and KA, so 24 and mid 30s, 33, 36 or so. So that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of changes to the filters, making the detector a little bit simpler. There's some new kind of stuff that they're advertising on the box, which I'll show you. It's called like SAW, Surface Acoustic Wave, I think it is. I'll have to reference my notes. So I've been reading up a little bit on that, what that is, and also like D2L, DDL, something like that. So I've been diving a little bit more into the patents and seeing kind of some of the stuff that's been done there. That's going to be kind of something technical that it's advertised right on the box. I'd love to learn more about. It has to do with image rejection and filtering and kind of like low-level stuff in the detector that we'll never really notice necessarily. But it's something that I definitely want to learn about more, especially because, as you'll see, it's printed right on the box. So it's kind of a cool technical thing that they're advertising. So let's see. Taking a look here at you guys' comments. One of the interesting things I noticed, and I don't know if this is actually going to be the case, but see, where's the notes? The K-band range in one of the patents that I was reading is down to 24.035 to 24.265. So just under 24.050. It doesn't go down to 24.9 or 23.9-ish. I don't know if that's actually how it's going to turn out. Some of the stuff, again, like I mentioned, the display patent didn't come out exactly like that. So we'll have to see kind of how things are fully implemented, but that was kind of something that caught my eye. So I'd like to take a look at, the full K-band spectrum of what it can sweep. The manual isn't available yet. There's a website that's going to be dedicated to the manual. It's not online yet, oddly enough. In the box, there's like a quick reference guide with some basic information about like all bogeys mode, logic, advanced logics, how the buttons work, that kind of stuff. So there's some basic stuff, but not a ton of detail yet. So it's interesting. There's not a full manual that's available in the box or on the website. So we're still, again, learning a lot on that. V1 Gen 2 Euro Edition. I don't know about the Euro Edition, if that's a thing or if it's just going to include Euro mode like this. I did call up V1 earlier today, and I was asking some technical questions, and they went to go talk to a tech. Things like, actually, where's my notes on that too? It had to do with like custom sweeps that, yes, they are going to be available on the Gen 2. I'll, again, have to double check and verify. Same thing with Euro mode. I wanted to ask a little bit more about things like, does the Gen 2 V1 always sweep for 33.8? And the Gen 1s like this, you can't disable 33.8 detection because it's always detecting pop. And 33.8 is where you're going to be getting a lot of the Cobra falses too. So it was kind of annoying to where if you wanted to disable KA guard to get better performance and you're using custom sweeps, you'll get longer range, but then you've disabled some of the filters and you're getting Cobra falses. I think it's possible that with their new surface acoustic wave filter that they're using, the SAW, That may actually help with some of the Cobra falsing. I don't know. The KA guard may have been improved to where you don't have as much of a performance penalty. That we're going to need to test. I don't know about the new junk K fighter, so the K-band filtering. So there's, again, a lot of stuff that we don't know. Train, you're asking about stealth. That's a possibility. There's now LNAs. There wasn't an LNA in the Gen 1. There was one on X-band, I believe, but not for K and KA, which we always figured, I guess, because, you know, Valentine, they're based in Ohio and there's X-band there, but why didn't they put it on K and KA? So that's always been kind of a Valentine, why don't you put LNAs here to improve the performance? The new Gen 2 does have LNAs for both the front and the rear, I believe, so the performance should be better. And LNAs a lot of times help to improve RDD immunity. So it's quite possible that the Gen 2 can be more stealth than the Gen 1. I don't know if it's going to be completely stealth. They haven't advertised all the new differences. They haven't said if it's going to be RDD immune, but I definitely like to test it against my Spectre 3. If I can get the Spectre Elite in as well, I'd like to retest it and see how it fares. You guys are asking about MRCD and GPS, so let's talk about that next. GPS is, again, not included in the new Valentine 1 Gen 2. So if you want any GPS functionality, it's not going to be available in the detector. So like the Gen 1, you're going to have to pair it to V1 Driver if you're on iOS, or an app like JBV1 if you want it for Android. Now, what's nice is when they pair it, it's automatically going to add things like low-speed muting, automatic GPS lockouts. We've been wanting it forever on the R7. It's got manual lockouts. The Valentine 1, with any of the cell phone apps, is going to have automatic GPS lockouts already available. And now this is kind of a fun thing. Like, Mike could have added GPS, and his official reason on his website is GPS, if you use GPS lockouts, it's possible for it to accidentally lock out a legitimate frequency. And so he would rather it have it alert to all of the signals and not do any sort of lockouts. And then I guess have us do a little bit more mental filtering, or you can use low speed muting with Savvy, or you can run maybe logic or advanced logic mode. But he's pretty against using GPS. I disagree with him on this part, and I kind of have a suspicion as to why he says that. With GPS, yes, that is true, that it is possible for it to accidentally lock out a police officer. But if you have a much more sophisticated implementation of GPS lockouts, which is what we see from YaV1, JBV1, and V1 Driver, they do a much better job of individually tracking each signal and making it much less likely to accidentally lock out a police officer instead of a false alert. So yes, it's possible, but the risks are super minimal, and the benefits far outweigh any minimal risk. So I think it's definitely worth it. Now, a side thing that he doesn't talk about is Escort currently owns the patent on any sort of GPS lockout functionality. So anybody who wants to use that functionality has to pay Escort a licensing fee for every detector that you sell. And that goes into the cost of the detector, drives up the cost of the detector because they have to pay royalties. If you don't do that, then you wind up in a lawsuit with Escort, which is something that Uniden is dealing with right now, which I think is probably one of the reasons why auto lockouts hasn't come to the R7 yet, is they're still in the middle of the lawsuit with Escort about GPS lockouts. And so that might be the reason. It's my guess. I don't know for sure, but that's my guess as far as why they didn't add it. And so Mike is just kind of saying, okay, well, there's the risk that it could lock out false alerts. True. Very minimal if done right. And he can also kind of save the cost on the licensing fees, let third-party developers do it over Bluetooth, and now all of a sudden it's free to him. He doesn't have to pay for the GPS components or for the licensing fees, and now we get even better GPS lockouts when you pair it with the phone than something he could do built into the detector. So if that's what's actually going on, it would make total sense, and there you go. So yes, no GPS is built in here, so you're not going to have lockouts. There's no low-speed muting built into the detector. You can do something like Savvy that plugs into the car's OBD2 port, and you can get low-speed muting that way, but it's not going to be built into the detector itself. There's also going to be no red light camera alerts, speed camera alerts, things like that, unless, of course, you're running an app like JBV1 or Waze, or Google Maps has even started introducing some they're integrating with Waze to give you like real-time police spotted alerts. They've also got red light camera alerts and stuff. So that's going to be kind of focused on an app, unless you're doing some other device like a Speed Cheetah or something. But anyway, GPS is not built in to the V1 Gen 2. Now, you guys are asking about MRCD. This is interesting. So there's no mention of MRCD. And if you look at the front of the detector, there is no unique specific LED alert for MRCD. With the Gen 1 Valentine 1, you guys are asking about the credit for trading this in for the V1 Gen 2. I'll talk about that right after this. Now, as far as the way MRCD works, It's not good on the V1. I would not say it's capable of MRCD detection. If you have TMF2 turned on, the K-band junk K-fighter, you get pretty much no useful alert at all. The only way to get any sort of maybe like 200 to 300 feet, like a little bit of alert distance on the Valentine 1 Gen 1 is to disable the K-band filter, the junk K-fighter, which means your detector is going to be going off constantly. It makes the detector essentially useless on K-band. So you have to disable the K-band filter, and the detector cannot uniquely differentiate one of the 10,000 K-band false alerts you're getting from actually an MRCD or an MRCT legitimate alert. So it's just going to be going off constantly, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. So technically, yes, it can detect it with the filters off, but in no useful way at all. Now, with the Gen 2, again, there's been nothing announced yet. We don't know for sure. Looking at the front of the detector, there's no mention of that. There's no specific alert for it. Maybe they'll have a unique tone for MRCD as opposed to traditional K-band. I don't know. I would be surprised if they did, to be honest. Maybe they will, but my guess is no, there's not going to be any MRCD detection. Based on what I've seen, there's no reference, and I've seen nothing specific for MRCD or MRCT or GATSO or some of the newer lower powered stuff that usually needs a very specific different alert. I haven't seen any mention of it, but again, it hasn't even been announced on Valentine's website. There's no manual that's out. There's a lot of information that's still missing. So we're kind of going off of people who've received their detectors so far, some of the patents that we've seen, things like that. So it's a great question, and it's definitely something that's going to be tested for sure. But my guess is no MRCD detection, but we'll see for sure. Now, as far as trade-ins, one of the big things here about this is, yeah, you can always send in your old V1 for an update. If you send it in right now, I don't know if they're doing the trade-ins yet. Some people have gotten rejected saying, we're just sending in the new ones. You can send in the old ones. We'll give you a credit. Anyways, when that also comes to fruition, I've been hearing the number $110. If you trade in your old V1, any V1 for the new V1 G2. It's going to take some getting used to. Is it V1 G2, V1 Gen 2, V2? Like on the box, it says Valentine 1 Gen 2. Maybe V1 G2, we'll call it for short. I don't know. But yeah, so the V1 Gen 2, we'll just call it that for now. It's $110 if you trade it in. They're not obviously going to be upgrading your existing Valentine 1 to the new version because it's a completely different detector. They're just going to be giving you essentially a trade-in credit. Now, you can sell these. People have been doing it. They've been selling them for $350 or so. So you can obviously get a lot more if you sell it yourself, and then just use that money and put it towards the new V1. But if you want to send it in, V1 G2, definitely not 1.2. So if you want to send it in, you get $110. It's obviously the easiest solution because it's guaranteed done. No hassle with returns or somebody claiming it didn't work or got damaged during shipping if you try to sell it on eBay or whatever. So obviously that's the easiest solution, but you can get way more if you sell it on Craigslist, on the forums, on eBay, wherever, So that's kind of the story with the trade-ins. Let's see, say it 5 times fast. V1 Gen 2, V1 Gen 2, V1 Gen 2, V1 Gen 2, V1 Gen 2. One thing that I'm really curious about is the laser filtering. This thing, the laser sensitivity is phenomenal. It's the gold standard when it comes to laser detection and sensitivity, but the filtering sucks. It falses all the time. And so let's see. Yeah, I just got a shipment update notification on my V1 Gen 2. Yay, I am so excited for that. It's going to be awesome. So I'm really hoping there's going to be improved laser filtering because, what was it? Mazdas, Infinitis, and Volvos are the 3 that I get falses to quite a lot. Obviously, talk about it all the time. Maybe laser detection in a radar detector is not the greatest thing ever, but if you're looking for something that has the best laser sensitivity possible in a radar detector, I'm sure they're not going to go backwards in laser sensitivity considering how good of a job they've been doing on that for years. Maybe there's going to be some additional filtering just to look at the pulse patterns of the laser signals and alert not just because you see a signal, but try to do some additional filtering. And so maybe they'll be like, oh, this is a laser gun, but this pulse pattern is from an Infinity's laser-based collision avoidance system or smart cruise control or whatever. So hopefully they're going to be doing a little bit extra filtering. We'll have to see. Don't know. But that's definitely something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. But as far as long-range detection, I know you guys are wondering about that. We'll have to see. I was expecting it actually to start shipping next week. We were told originally it was going to start shipping March 9th. But then all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's just start shipping this week. And all of a sudden our detectors are coming in. I was trying to reschedule to do my testing this weekend. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm planning on doing my testing Friday the 13th, March 13th. So not this coming Friday as in 2 days from now, but a week from 2 days from now. I leave for my road trip cross country the following, what is it, Monday or something? On the 17th, I fly out. And so I really want to get that testing done and get the results posted with videos and stuff on my website and post on the forums and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the reason, like, we're going to do it, maybe spend half the day on Friday. Let's crank out some testing. We're planning 33.8, 34.7, and 35.5. Probably won't have time for K-band, but we're going to run, I'm thinking Max 360C, V1, V1 Gen 2. So we got 3 detectors, Unit in R7, maybe Redenso Pro M I could throw in. I could do Redline EX, maybe just to toss it in. But for the sake of saving time, because we only have a half day, I'm not sure if I want to throw in the Redline. It was funny, for the last test I did, I think it was with the R7. Surprising how many people were like, there's no Redline in the test. Where's the Redline EX? Where's the Redline EX? And so I'm kind of tempted, because it's a long-range test, just to throw in a Redline EX, maybe. But it's also a question of, like, saving time. If we got 6 detectors, 33.8, 34.7, 35.5, that kind of stuff. You know, I don't have a lot of time, and we got to do multiple runs per detector. So I'm probably going to show up early to get everything set up and then just, like, crank out test passes. So our Red Barn test course is only like a half-mile long. We may have to start a little bit farther back in case we get longer range or whatever. But for the sake of saving time, I have to be pretty selective on what I'm testing. But anyway, I kind of want to go against some of the biggest detectors that it's going to be directly competing against. So obviously R7, Max 360C, V1 Gen 1, and V1 Gen 2. I think all of those are a must-have. The Redenso Pro M, it doesn't have arrows, so it's the only non-arrow detector in that list. But I think it would be worth considering. And then if I'm going to be doing the Pro M, maybe it would make sense to do the Redline EX too. I don't know. If anybody has an EX that you'd like to send in, I need to borrow one again. That's usually what I've done, because I don't have a Redline EX. But if I consider it, I'm still thinking about it. So anyway, before I go off too much of a tangent, I'm sure other people are going to be testing this weekend. Hopefully Jag42 and Brainstorm are going to be able to do some testing as well this weekend. We'll see. Hopefully some of you other guys as well, if you've got some radar guns, you guys can do some testing as well, because it's going to take a ton of people, of course, to do all of this. Backwards. You were asking about the blend mount. Yeah, so one of the guys at Blend Mount was actually able to get a hold of Mike V, and he was saying that, while it is a new mount, the connectors where the suction cups attach and where the blend mount would connect are exactly the same in terms of spacing and distance. And so you're going to be able to use the new V1's mount with the blend mount and connect them right up together. So yes, you should be able to use your existing blend mount with the new V1 Gen 2, which is awesome. So that's great. Evan, you're asking about the dash cam comparison. This thing has been a pain in the butt. I was looking at comparing 5 4K dash cams. I've narrowed it down to 3, Black VDR 900S, I think Where U1000, A129 Pro, and then it's been a pain in the butt. I'm trying to simplify that as much as I can just to get the video done and posted, and it's been a pain. Still working on it. Computer's bogging down. I had to get actually a new eGPU for my laptop to be able to handle multiple dash cams and zooming into the photos and just some of the additional stuff I've been doing. And my eGPU died, so I just had to get it replaced. I got the new one today. So it's been a pain in the butt. But yeah, I'm still trying to get that 4K dash cam shootout out. And with the new V1 Gen 2, well, that's going to be the focus. So maybe this dash cam video gets pushed back. But anyway, that's all of that. Smirnoff. Yeah, thanks for the offer for the Solo S3. I've got my Solo S4 here. Oh, that's a great question. So, okay, somebody was asking, Nito Welch Tech Group, curious if the remote concealed display works. So I asked about this specifically when I called in today, and they said that yes, the old CD will work with the V1. I'll grab mine out of the closet, and tomorrow when I get the detector and I'm like, let's plug everything in, let's try hook everything up. Let's just start playing with stuff. When I do that, the live stream, kind of like this, except actually with the detector on hand, we'll try plugging in the concealed display and see if it works. They said it does. I also asked them about, are they going to come out with an updated version of the concealed display, you know, to match the new design and look of the V1. And by the way, for you guys who've joined and missed the beginning, take a look at the link in the video description. And I've got people who have the V1 G2 already have posted photos, so you can take a look and see exactly what it looks like. The detector itself, all directions, the new LCD, or sorry, LED display, not LCD, compared side by side with the V1G1 and V1G2. So take a look at all that. The links are down there so you guys can see it now before we get to the unboxing. And thanks to everybody who's been posting content online. So you can already take a look. So as far as the new concealed display, I asked them if they're going to come out with a new version of it. The lady was kind of like, I think so. You know, they're planning on it down in the future, but it didn't seem like a priority. The phone, I think I had a bad connection, so it was kind of breaking up during that part of the conversation, unfortunately. But it's funny, the new V1, it's not even on Valentine's website yet, so we don't know what accessories it's going to have available. I believe it's going to be compatible still with Savvy to plug into the OBD2 port to get low-speed muting. Hardwire from Unit into Power V1. I'm sure it will. They're not going to be changing the pins, I'm sure. It looks like actually the V1, in the box, it's going to come with a hardwire cable built into the box. Thank you, Valentine, for including that and not making it an optional extra that we have to buy. Their hardwire cable is great. I actually used it. Nate confirming Savvy compatibility. Awesome. Thank you. The hardwire cable is great. I've been using kind of their hardwire base for all of my detectors, primarily because I have to do the Bluetooth module. And so I can use that. And then all of the other detectors are running off the same one. I just don't use that Bluetooth interface. But now that there's no Bluetooth externally, it's built into the detector. Another one of the nice benefits is the fact that well, you're not going to need, well, you can run it off a mirror tap, essentially. So the powering is cable is easier. And if you want to plug into the rear view mirror, just for easier wiring, if you're using it on a blend mount or you're putting it up by the rear view mirror, you can just plug it directly into the powered rear view mirror with the mirror tap and not have to deal with splitters and Bluetooth dongles attached to the rear of the rear view mirror or shoved somewhere up in the headliner. Like, you just give it power and it works. Bluetooth is built in. So that's a great change. I'm really glad that they've done that. There's not going to be any confusion anymore about the V1C versus the V1C LE and which one do you get and outdated information and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, if you guys want a Valentine 1, as I mentioned, they're already shipping it. They've started shipping, even though they haven't posted it on their website yet. So if you want to pre-order one based on everything that we've been talking about and what we know so far, call them. There's a 1-800 number. You can give them a call and you can put down a pre-order. Or I guess you can order it now. $4.99 for the detector, and they'll ship it out to you. By the way, overnight shipping is super cheap. If you're excited like me and you want to get it, I think it was another $20 or something. It's only a few bucks more than 2-day shipping. So if you're excited, get it overnighted. It's cheap. It's worth it. You know. So just a tip on that. Let's see. Blackwords. Do we know if the API developer information will be published online at the same time? That's a great question. We don't know. It sounds like John Boy has already been talking to V1. And knows about some of the API changes that he's been implementing and stuff. And so I think he's been talking about that with them. Nate, only 35 minutes left to call him today. So yeah, if you want to be one, call him now before they close. Tell him Vortex says hi. No, just call and get yourself a V1. But yeah, so I don't know when the manual is going to launch online. I don't know when they're going to announce it. I don't know when they're going to be posting updated API information. So I don't know that kind of stuff. But shout out to MSW Logo and John Boy for being on the ball with updating their apps to be compatible with the new V1 Gen 2. The apps do need to be updated to support that. I haven't heard anything about YaV1 from Frankie or any of the other developers that have been working on it. So I don't know about compatibility there, but V1 Driver and JBV1 and obviously V1 Connection, Valentine's app, those are going to be updated as well. Alan, will I be doing testing with the Spectre models? Yes, definitely. I'll be doing it with my Spectre 3. If I can borrow the Spectre Elite as well, cool, I'll throw that in. I'd love to test with that just to see, because as we've noticed, there are differences between different Spectre models. The Spectre 3 does seem to be more sensitive than the Spectre Elite, but maybe they also operate differently and you can be stealth to the 3, but not the Elite. I don't know. I think it's worth testing on as many as you can, just in general. You know, you learn a lot doing that. But yeah, you guys have been asking about if I'm taking it on the road trip. And actually, yes, I will. I was really concerned about that because there's a law, like you can't use radar detectors in commercial vehicles over 10,000 pounds. And I'm like, well, it's a commercial vehicle. It's a moving truck, but I'm not using it for commercial purposes. So long story short, a friend on RDF actually contacted the Department of Transportation. And because I'm not using it for commercial purposes, I'm using the moving truck as a, well, I'm moving my mom's stuff across the country. It's non-commercial. I can legally use a radar detector in that, which is awesome, which means I'm going to be able to use the new V1 Gen 2 cross-country from Georgia to Seattle and put like 3,000 miles on it and really get a good chance. So we'll have real-world videos. We'll have real world testing to see what's the falsing like. That's hard to do without just putting a lot of miles to see what cars it falses to and which one it doesn't. So yes, I'll have a chance to actually test it out and run it cross country. So perfect timing there. So, oh, Wally, use my side-by-side pictures. Yeah, thank you, by the way, for posting those side-by-side pictures with your V1 Gen 1 and Gen 2 so that we can see the differences in size and all that kind of stuff. Let's see, it's new. So this is an interesting question. Luch Forte, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I know it's new, but do you know if you're able to do your own updates, or do you need to ship it in to them for updates? There's no USB port that's built in. Maybe they'll be able to do updates over Bluetooth, kind of like how the NetRadar DSP does. But I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing they've always done, to where for future updates, you'll need to send the detector in and have them update it. Sometimes it's just software updates. Like, I think Junk K-Fighter was most likely just software updates. Maybe they had a hardware update, kind of like they did with the Pro-M. But a lot of times there's hardware updates too, and you have to send it in for that. So Nate, did the tech give you a call back today? No, he didn't. And it's funny, earlier today, I was like, I'm going to live stream. Wouldn't it be funny if the tech calls while we're on? And I'll be like, hi, and put him on and be like, by the way, you're on. We're live streaming right now. Is that okay? You want to say hi? And I had this whole thing mapped out of like, let's talk to the Valentine 1 tech. Let's answer questions about some of the technical stuff I was curious about with custom sweeps and some of the filters and that kind of stuff. It would have been awesome to have him on the phone and just like put the phone right up here to the mic and chat with you guys. But unfortunately, no, he didn't call me back yet today. Oh, well, happens. Would be nice though. Let's see. Oh, there's something else that I wanted to say, but I forgot. Empower, where are the photos? Link in the video description. Take a look. I've got links to all the photos for people who've gotten their V1 Gen 2s already. They've been posting photos. And so, yes, take a look. The links are all in the video description. You can take a look at that. No, V1 fangirl Vortex. It'd be funny. Let's see. That would be funny if, the guy calls in and it's like, oh, by the way, we're live streaming. Say hi to everybody. And, obviously you got to let him know he's on camera and stuff. But that would be funny. It'd be awesome. I'd love to like just hang out and let's answer questions. You guys could ask questions. We could talk, that kind of stuff. I've been trying to get a hold of Mike Valentine. Mike, if you're watching, I'd love to sit down and do an interview. And like, you can tell us about the development of the new V1 Gen 2, all of the changes and improvements. I know there's been a lot of what's the backstory with, okay, it was delayed, or we've been hearing rumors of knob stuff or whatever, but I'm mainly curious. Like, I'd love to hear from you as far as the history, building up your company, things over time, and all the changes that you implemented and the thought process and why. And some of the things I know 9C1 mentioned on the forums, some of the things on the box, like the SAW, surface acoustic wave stuff, or the D²L thing, like, what does that mean exactly? If you could explain that, that would be awesome. And I'm sure it's important if you put it right on the box. So yeah, if you're watching, shoot me an email, give me a call. Let's talk. It'd be great to sit down and do an interview. So yeah. Let's see. Website, Rusty Blades says nothing about the V2. That's so interesting. They have not posted anything on their website. They're shipping it out to people who've pre-ordered it sight unseen, even though we don't know anything about the detector really, other than patents and stuff. We didn't know anything about it. Price, nothing. And yeah, a lot of people pre-order and they're shipping it, but I don't know if their website isn't ready yet, or the website dedicated to the manual if it's not ready. Yeah, I don't know. So it's just funny, but hopefully it comes out soon. I know they said it's supposed to be up by the beginning of next week, I think was the last I heard on that. So maybe by the end of the week, today, tomorrow, Friday, it'll be up, but I don't know. Let's see. Stevie Jean, that's a great question. Is the case plastic or magnesium? A lot of people have asked that on the forums. I don't know if I've seen somebody respond and answer that question. I'll ask again tomorrow morning. I've got it on my list of things that I'd like to talk about tomorrow once I've got the detector on hand and compare it to the original V1. So hopefully it's still a magnesium case and they didn't switch over to plastic, but unless somebody has already answered it on the forums, if we don't have the answer yet, I'll be happy to answer tomorrow when I get the detector on hand. John, have I interviewed Mike Valentine before? I haven't. I would love to. Hey, buddy, say hi. I haven't. I'd love to talk to him. But no, I think it'd be really cool to talk to him. So not yet. Hopefully one day. It'd be great. Jag42. Hey, what's up, Jag? Are you guys, since you're here, Jared, are you guys planning on testing this weekend? You guys, of course, do some amazing tests on, out in Texas. So are you guys planning on testing with Brian, or what's the story there? Let's see, Thea stuff. Yeah, and I guess with the V1, I'm kind of curious how some of the stuff works, like custom sweeps, if that's still needed. I know I'd mentioned it earlier. I'm really hopeful that you could disable 33.8 if you need, or I guess maybe if you don't need to disable it, if you can. The Cobra falsing I know is kind of bad, so I'm hopeful that the improved filtering addresses that. So that's kind of something. Let's see what else I have. Oh, this was kind of important. So this was something I wanted to mention. Yes, if I feel up for it. Hopefully feel up to it. Love to see your testing and all the results with a bunch of different detectors. You guys always do great work on that. So one of the things that we saw in the patent was extremely fast sweep times all across, well, everything, X-band, KU with the V1, K and KA. I think it was something nuts, like 2 milliseconds to sweep all 4 radar frequencies, like insanely fast. Pop is 67 milliseconds traditionally. The super fast K-band pop is 16 milliseconds. With the V1, according to the patents, we don't know what's ultimately going to be done in the end, but they were saying 2 milliseconds. Not 200 like a lot of current detectors, or 100 maybe, or 67 with pop, or 16 with super fast pop, but 2 milliseconds to sweep the entirety of all X, KU, K, and KA. That's incredibly impressive. Now, if that's actually turned out to be the case, awesome. That means pop is going to be no issue to detect. Not that it really matters, I guess, but practically speaking, faster sweeps do things like, make it pretty much impossible for your detector to miss any quick trigger shots. And they also, we found, help to improve range. And the classic example I give on that is like if you're driving maybe in the mountains or you're driving where there's trees and stuff, the signal is going to be traveling through the trees and it's going to be kind of broken up. You're not going to get a strong direct hit. You'll kind of get little scratchy signals, kind of like if you're driving and you're listening to the radio, but you're on the edge of where you can pick up the radio station and it's kind of scratchy and the signal's coming and going. It's kind of similar like that with radio. And if the signal is briefly coming and going, a detector that can alert you to the shortest of signals can alert you and effectively give you longer range in more difficult situations than a detector that requires a longer duration alert in order to alert. So even though it's not a sensitivity thing, a detector that can scan faster in some situations can actually give you longer range too. So that can definitely be a big deal, independent of, well, who cares about pop detection? And that's cool that you can. And I can do some videos with pop testing and stuff just to see out of curiosity. But I'm really more curious about some of the driving through trees and difficult terrain and detection at the edge of where the signal is most weak. It's that kind of stuff. Yeah, some of the escorts as of recent will miss quick trigger. Yeah, and one of the things that some companies do is an attempt to filter. And we see this with like traffic sensor filtering, TMF. It'll wait for a longer duration alert in order to give you the alert. So yeah, having a detector that can just filter and alert to really brief signals is awesome to get the best of both worlds. Saw a FedEx truck in my area, so I ran 2 blocks to catch him. Not my driver who had my V1. Oh man, bummer. I hope you get yours soon. If a detector alerts to the signal blips, will false to Honda's guaranteed? Yeah, well, that's, I think, one of the biggest questions, isn't it? Like, this could be an interesting discussion is, let's say the V1 has R7 level range, just for the sake of discussion. Range is improved. I don't know if it'll be comparable to the Uniden. I don't know if it'll be better. I don't know if it'll be worse. I literally have no idea. That's why we got to go test and find out, right? Let's say it's on par with the R7 and the BSM filtering, chances are it's going to be better. I mean, this doesn't have perfect filtering. It definitely still falses too. And the last update, Junk K-Fighter, was like 5 years ago or so. And so I know they've been improving the filtering. I don't know if it's BSM filtering, but they've been improving the filtering. Let's say the filtering is better than the Uniden. That could be interesting. And I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts to say, okay, well, if it's got the range and it's got better BSM filtering, which is one of the biggest annoyances of the R7, but it doesn't have GPS built in, and so you're required to pair it with the phone. It's not a big deal realistically to do. I mean, if you're running an iPhone, run V1 Driver and you get your auto lockouts. If you're on Android, run JBV1 and you get your auto lockouts in the background. And both of those apps do an awesome job of connecting to the detector in the background and automatically giving you auto lockouts. I wish Escort Live connected as well and as reliably every time you got back in the car as JBV1 and V1 Driver. That app, I constantly have to go in and like manually restart the app. V1 Driver and JBV1 do a much better job in this regard. And so you can have your phone in your pocket or on your dash or wherever giving you auto lockouts, which the R7 doesn't have. The R7, I guess, would be $50 cheaper. Right now it's $450, whereas the V1 is $500. The R7 does do MRCD. The V1 does not. Well, probably does not. We got to test that, but my guess is it doesn't. The R7 is not completely stealth, but close. The V1, well, depending on what copy of the detector you get, I guess. V1, have no idea. So Meep, okay, you're saying pairing it with the phone is a big deal since it's illegal nearly everywhere to have your phone out unless you mount it, which is silly since I'm not an Uber driver. That's one of the nice things about pairing it with an app. It doesn't take a lot of power, both for V1 driver or for JBV1. You can have your phone in your pocket. You can have the phone sitting in a cup holder, plugged in or not, and you're going to get your lockouts in the background. You never have to think about it. You don't have to touch it. One thing that I like about JBV1 over V1 driver, and I don't think V1 driver has this feature, is I like running the V1 with the display off. It's blacked out like this. You can't turn it on. And if it picks up a false alert, like a locked out signal, the display stays off. It's only when it picks up a new signal, whether it's a BSM or a police officer, the display will turn on. And that's especially helpful, I find it, for parking lots in front of shopping centers. The V1, the display goes crazy with arrows blinking and the bogey counter going up, and it goes nuts in parking lots. And I like JBV1 to actually just keep the display off unless there's a legitimate alert. I like that feature, and seeing it light up suddenly helps grab my attention only when necessary. I don't think V1 driver has that capability. If it does, someone let me know. But I looked through the settings again the other day. I've been running the V1 for the past 2 weeks or so. I don't think it has that option. So I prefer, for many reasons, the Android one. JBV1 just offers so much incredible functionality. But when it comes to auto lockouts, you can get it with iOS or Android. So it's not a huge deal to pair it. And I think when the Gen 2 comes out, I'll be doing more videos talking about the pairing process. I need to do a video going over JBV1 and V1 driver. JBV1 will be kind of tough because there's so much functionality and he's constantly adding new features that, like, if I tried to do a JBV1 video, it'd be hours long going over all the features, and it would be out of date within a matter of days because he's constantly changing things, adding features, improving functionality, removing things if not needed. There's so many changes that, like, it's crazy. So I did a video as part of my latest best radar detectors video, and I had a little section on JBV1 going over the coolest features. And I think that would be the way to do it, is to maybe, here's some of the coolest features that JBV1 offers. The cloud alerts, airplane alerts, some of the display stuff that I talked about. There's a ton of stuff. And maybe just doing a video that's like, here's all of the cool features. And then also doing things like, even if you're not a V1 user, you can now run JBV1 in standalone mode. It was originally called offline mode. Now it's called standalone mode, and it's a little bit difficult to turn on. I think they're trying to make it easier. Before it was an advanced thing, and now they're going to make it more readily available. But maybe doing a quick video on, like, here's how to enable offline mode for the JBV1. So if you're an Android person, or even if you're an iPhone user like me and you want to get an Android just to run apps like that, totally can do it. Just buy a cheap Android. You can run it. Yeah, it's a phenomenal app. And by the way, if anybody uses JBV1, definitely go and donate to John Boy. Like, he's doing amazing stuff here, and he's doing an incredible job. So, or even MSW logo as well. But yeah, John Boy is doing an incredible amount of stuff. So if you go to the JBV1 section on RDF, there's a link to where you can donate to him. So props to you, John Boy. Really, really cool stuff. So let's see. How do you run JBV1 in standalone mode? I can't figure it out. Yeah, I'll need to do a tutorial. It was like an advanced thing. If you search on the forums, there's something. I think I posted it in one of my videos, but it's just like a little text blurb or something. But yeah, my dog, he's just asleep here in my lap, and he's happy. And this is a lot of times when I'm sitting here editing videos, he's right here, either asleep in my lap, or just at my feet or in his bed or something. He just likes to hang out, and we take breaks during the day to go for walks and stuff. So, but yeah, he's here. He's happy. Let's see. Any rumors of Bluetooth being developed for the R7? No, I'd love to see it. I don't want to get too much into Uniden stuff, but it's weird that, yeah, the R7 firmware hasn't been posted on Uniden's website yet, 1.29. There's been kind of a pause with Uniden stuff for a while, but it looks like they're kind of getting back into the swing of things, which is good. So things are, I guess, restarting with Uniden. But anyway, that's another topic. What else? I probably need to go in a bit here. My daughter's been, she caught a cold this weekend, And so she's still here at home. Looks like I'm watching the camera. She's just waking up now. So this is like my wife's shift. We go back and forth where one of us works and the other one takes care of Luna, and we go back and forth. So in about 15 minutes, I'm going back to help take care of that. And then she's got a meeting after this. So anyway, she's luckily getting better. And I think we'll be able to take her back to daycare so I can work tomorrow, which would be great. So I can, yay, new V1, that kind of stuff. But anyway, yeah, I've got another 10, 15 minutes or so. So while we're just kind of like hanging in here talking, those are the main things that I wanted to address. I'll take a look through my list here again, but let me know what questions you guys have as well. Like what are you wondering? We could either talk about it now, or I can add it to my list of things to cover in tomorrow's video when we actually do the unboxing, or once I get to the full review of the detector. Matt R., how do I keep my Bluetooth on the phone connected to the car for phone calls and the V1 for JBV1? Seems like I can only connect to one or the other. That's weird. You should be able to connect to multiple devices. Maybe post on the forums about that. But most modern phones, you can connect to your car. You can connect to Bluetooth headphones. You can connect to a radar detector. You can connect to multiple things simultaneously. Like that should definitely be possible. So maybe you have an old phone or something. I kind of doubt it. But anyway, post on the forums. You can get a little bit of help with that. Dan, have you driven with the V1 Gen 2 yet? No, mine's coming in tomorrow morning. And as soon as I get it, I'm going to be doing an unboxing here on YouTube. So I don't know when that's going to be. I know FedEx says that they're going to deliver it by 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. So it'll be maybe around then. I got a package this morning, and it was like 10:20 or something. So they came right up to that deadline. So maybe that's a rough time. When I get it, boom, we'll do an unboxing, and we'll just start talking new V1 Gen 2. So we'll definitely have it on hand here tomorrow, and I'll be doing another live stream, and we'll be able to actually take a look at the detectors here in person and compare them. So if you haven't obviously subscribed to my channel and enabled notifications, do that. That way it'll let you know as soon as we're open and we start unboxing the detector, open it up, and start talking about it. But it was probably going to be around 10:30-ish, assuming all goes according to plan or whatever. So if they send it to me earlier, cool. I can always hop on and start doing that. A lot of you guys I know might be Eastern time, Mountain, Central, whatever. So it's a little bit later in your day. But yeah, as soon as I can hop on and live stream, I'm definitely going to do it. Rich, wondering about like the brownout booster, Savvy OBD2 compatibility. Somebody did confirm Savvy compatibility. I would be surprised to see them incorporate the brownout booster into the detector itself. I do have the brownout booster in my car, so I'll test it before I'll test it out on my car just to verify that it works. But yeah, that's something that I can definitely test. I don't know if I'll be doing that during the live stream because I could unbox on video, but I can take a look at brownout booster later. Maybe post it on the forums and we can talk about it there. Jason, any word on MRCD? Great question. We don't know. My guess is no, but we're going to have to see for sure. I'm really looking forward to, the unboxing, of course, tomorrow, but just the announcement on Valentine's website of what's all the changes. What are the things that we may not necessarily know over, we can run the detectors. We can do long range testing. We can look at the display differences. We can do MRCD detection. We can do a lot of testing our own, but I'd love to actually see what are the things that we don't know about, like what's the SAW all about that's printed on the box, why I'm curious, why did he, I guess it's interesting. Like it's the first time we're going to have a big visual change to the V1. I know it used to be a little bit thicker and they made it shorter this way, but like a huge visual change. So it's a big deal. That reminds me, Merkava, J's for jamming. Yeah, there is a J out still. I noticed reading over the documentation. So with respect to Cobra falsing and false KA alerts from other leaky nearby radar detectors, as far as how much they're updating that filter, I don't know. The detector is still going to have the ability to J out. And if it throws a KA alert and then realizes, whoops, my bad, false alert, this was a leaky radar detector, it'll say J on the detector. And that's, I know, kind of confusing depending on what mode you're running in. Sometimes it says it, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, in the documentation, I did see a reference to the J out. So it looks like it's still going to have, to some extent, issues with false KA alerts to leaky Cobra radar detectors. So yeah, J out's very helpful with Cobras. I've been using for years. It is, yeah, definitely. I've been driving around sometimes, and the detector, for some super leaky detectors, it'll go off to KA, and you'll get 6 KA alerts, 8 KA alerts. It just makes the detectors go crazy. So I'm hoping that V1, as part of their improved filtering, helps to cut out some of those. It's possible based on what we've seen, but of course we got to test it ultimately. Wait for the announcement, see what's actually. Do you believe it'll be an alternative to Redenso for European use? With that MRCD, no. It's probably not going to be stealth. It may be, but probably not completely stealth. We'll have to see. So, I mean, not to talk about Thea too much, but Thea is probably going to have longer range. It should completely eliminate false alerts. It'll have GPS built in. It's also going to be compatible with JBV1. I mean, it's going to have a LCD display. It's going to be able to display the frequency. I mean, open API like this, but then also open source itself. So like, I mean, if you're going to be all about this to run JBV1, well, Thea is going to be a better platform to run JBV1 on and give you way better pretty much everything. But that's just kind of speculation based on what we've seen so far. But I think this has a great possibility to be one of the best new detectors out there, especially when you wind up pairing it with JBV1 on Android. Did John Boy get over his grudge with Redenso? I think they've worked it out. I don't know if he's super in love with them necessarily, but we actually just talked about this the other day. And yeah, he's looks like going to be doing JBV1 for Thea as well. But obviously Thea's going to be more expensive than the V1. V1's $500, by the way. I know you guys have been posting it in the comments, but the new Gen 2. And yeah, if you want to trade in your original V1, you'll get $110 credit when you send in your old one and they replace it with the new one. You can, of course, sell it online for more. I'm really curious to see how the used market is going to hold up for Gen 1 V1s. A lot of times people will turn around and sell these. They could be 20 years old. They could be wildly outdated, but they'll still sell for $300 or whatever. The used market on these is awesome. And I think a big part of that is because a lot of people don't realize that there's been 20-something hardware and software revisions to the V1. I forget how many, but they've all, at least up to this point, looked like this. And so people may not necessarily know that, and they'll buy an ancient V1 thinking it's new technology or something, and it's not. Now that we have the new Gen 2 V1 Gen 2, it's going to be clearly very different, and I'm really curious how that's going to affect the resale value of the Gen 1 V1s. Maybe this will finally start going down, but the new V1 Gen 2 is $100 more than what this retailed for. So that should help to maybe keep the resale value or resale market from the V1s. V1 Gen 1s, man, why is that so tough from plummeting too much? So I think that'll be really interesting to just to see how all that fares. Built-in Bluetooth means it's not that big of a price increase. Yeah. Internal pics on RDF. Oh, has somebody posted internal pics of the new Gen 2? I haven't seen that yet. I'm going to have to take a look at that. I've got to finish up this live stream here in a bit. But Oversteer, can you post a link to that real quick? I didn't know that there's internal pics posted. I guess somebody wound up opening up their V1, and whoever that is, FCC posting is up. Here, I'm just going to pull that up. You guys have the link posted in the chat here. Boom. Insipid Monkey. Of course it's Insipid Monkey. You're the man, by the way. And these are some great photos. Okay, here, I'm going to post it in the chat as well. There we go. Me is my name. Beat me to it. Let's actually take a look at this. Oh, yeah, there's the new horn. Big laser sensor. These are high-quality photos. New internals. Yeah, the boards. Okay, Valentine research. Wow. Oh, and the manual, V1 G2 manual is up? Oh, my gosh. Okay, hold on. I know I got to go in a couple minutes here, but... Oh, no, that's just like the quick reference guide. Yeah, the quick start guide. Okay, so that's what we've seen before. Wow. Awesome. I'm really glad that's up. We actually have some good photos. I wish I had a way of like, just take a look at the link. I'll update the video description for those of you guys who are watching this afterwards, so that I'll put that in there as well. But that's awesome to see some internal photos. I didn't realize those were up. Thank you again, Insipid Monkey. He's been really good on like a lot of the analysis stuff and FCC stuff. And I gotta look at those pictures again. That's just really cool. Those are good quality photos too. Put it here next to my V1. Yep, obviously same kind of overall shape and design. There's obviously some differences here. Wow. Have to let somebody who can look at circuitry and read that better than I can do the analysis on that. But oh, actually, let's see. Are the LNAs there? Okay, so I presume that's it. It's kind of like 90 degrees off. Oh, yeah, you can see right behind the horn, there's like 2 microstrips right on the back of the main horn. Oh, both horns. So you'll see if you look at the horns, they kind of like, they go in a little bit, and there's 2 strips. And yeah, and there's a mixer right there. Okay. So yeah, one for X and K, the other for K and KA, and then there's like a 90-degree bend or so, and it looks like that's going into the LNAs. Is that what that is? See some other mixers. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a look. In the patents, they actually have the schematics laid out of how this all works, but I wish I had more time. I gotta go here in a couple minutes, but something to take a look at. We'll be talking about this on the forums for sure. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, but yeah, big laser sensor. You got the laser diode in the rear. Cool. Awesome. Okay, well, bold new internals. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna come back and see the chat. New concealed display, don't know. We'll have to see. Can you please show it again if I just joined? Yeah, here's the link. You can take a look. Oh, no, I don't have the new V1 Gen 2 yet. I'm going to be coming in. I'm going to be posting that live streaming basically tomorrow. Mine comes in tomorrow morning. I'll be doing an unboxing live, and then we'll have a chance like this to do, here's the V1 Gen 1, and here's the V1 Gen 2, and we'll just start going over all the differences side by side. We'll go into this in more detail. So if you want a summary, maybe hang out. You can always rewatch the video, of course, YouTube, so you can easily replay it. And then tomorrow we'll be going into a lot of this stuff. We'll be covering more. There's new information, like literally just the FCC photos went up. So cool, we can take a look at the internals. And I've got some stuff I'd like to take a look at. Like some of you guys were asking, plastic versus magnesium case. Let's go ahead and pair it to JBU1. Let's see how much is working so far. See in the V1 connection app, like what settings are there. Are custom sweeps still a thing? Is Euro mode still a thing? Nate, you're asking about planned time. So FedEx says they're going to be delivering it by 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. So it's probably going to be around then. So I'll just kind of grab the box, set it down here on my desk, and be like, all right, let's go. Let's open it up on camera. So it's probably going to be around then, maybe a little bit earlier, a little bit later. But yeah, just enable notifications here on YouTube, subscribe, enable those, and it'll actually notify you. I'll also post on Facebook and Twitter and on the forums when I'm going to be doing the unboxing video as well. So like right before I go live, I'll be posting it there as well. So if you're up for any of those, take a look, and we'll get a chance to go ahead and see it. And of course, there's pictures you can even see now on RDF. I've got those links in the video description, so you can see what the detector looks like now before we do the full unboxing here on camera. So awesome. With that said, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. And Jason, still worth upgrading? If you've got a V1 Gen 1, most likely yes. We'll have to see once we learn more about the detector and actually have a chance to start doing some testing and all. But my guess is it's going to be a pretty solid, worthy upgrade. So stay tuned for more, because yeah, we're all now getting our detectors in. So now it's time for like, what is it? What are the differences? What are the improvements? How much better is it? How does it compare to the old V1, to the R7, to the Max 360C, to the Redensos, all that kind of stuff. We'll be covering all of that for sure. So this is going to be an exciting time. I'm really looking forward to it. Hope you guys are having fun too. Thanks so much for tuning in on a Wednesday afternoon in the middle of the day. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you in the next video. See you tomorrow morning, actually. Bye.